Hello, people. Yes, I know. I haven't worn my cowboy hat in a long time. I've had this hat since I lived in Las Vegas. That was, that was over 20 years ago. Long time ago, I lived in Las Vegas. But anyway, it's a little dusty, I know. But I'll talk about westerns. I might as well wear my cowboy hat while I'm doing it. It's usually sitting up there. But as you can tell, it's been around. Yeah, it's got a hole in it. But anyway. I thought I would review a few books that I may or may not read, and might be interesting to other people. The first one, we'll talk about the Zane Grey biography. This is actually a pretty good book. This is very hard to find for some reason. But I found this. Where did I find it? Half Price Bookstore, I think. A very interesting guy. You know how some authors are not as interesting as their novels? He's as interesting as his novels. He was a big game hunter, a fisherman, not a hunter. Well, I guess he was more into fishing. He loved fishing. He was a big fisherman and other odds and ends. Let's see. Zane Grey was a disappointed aspirant to Major League Baseball, and an unhappy dentist who belatedly decided to take up writing at the age of 30. He went on to become the most successful American author of the 1920s, a significant figure in the early development of the film industry and a vital to the early popularity of the Western. Zane Grey's personal life was as colorful as his best novels. The two backcountry trips into the Grand Canyon inspired his first Westerns, and he returned to Arizona annually for many years. His matching passion for sports fishing carried him to Mexico, Nova Scotia, the Galapagos Islands, New Zealand, Haiti, and Australia. These trips were a canvas for the striking contradictions in Grey's life. Though he celebrated chastity and romantic love in his novels, and still his marriage was crucial to his success, these ideals were sorely tested by his long separations, deep depressions, and multiple involvements with women. Welcome to being a writer. Likewise, his popularization of hunting, fishing, and latest equipment threatened the wilderness he revered and campaigned to protect. It is a very good book. He was a very interesting guy. I found him. I liked this book. If you can find it, definitely buy it because it's worth the read. I'm trying to find some decent pictures I can show. See if I can do this quickly. He was an interesting guy. He was complex. He was different. He was just trying to play baseball, professional baseball. Let's see, Grey and Penn baseball uniform, 1895. Let's see. But anyway, excellent book, worth having, worth reading, worth buying if you can find it. At the moment, the only two novels I have of his, because anyway, there's a reason and we all know why. This is actually the very first Zane Grey novel I ever read. 20 odd years ago. Long time ago. And then there's, of course, the most famous one, The Riders of the Purple Sage, which I have yet to read, but I'll probably read this one, because I've already read this one. This one's pretty good. But I haven't read this one, I might as well. Looks good. Looks interesting. Like most things. Then there's Louis Lamour. Excellent Education of a Wandering Man. This is his quasi sort of biography where he talks about the influences in his life, things he did, the books he read. I mean, there are lists back here of what he's read by year. You think BookTube does these things? They should try to do with his list of just books and plays read in 1930. Let's see. It ends at 115. Okay, he read up 115. I mean, that's a long list. And let's see, 1931, he read 120. 1932, he read 120 again. Louis Lamour is a great writer. He really was. His writing was very basic. It was very simple, but there were always very good stories. This is an excellent book, of course. I found it easy to find. This book is the companion. It talks about him. It talks about after he dies. Well, it leads up to when he dies. This book actually records that, of course. Talks about his writing, his life, his influences, all those other things. There's Louis. He was a great writer. He really was. I liked all his stuff, even his non-westerns. I liked. The Iron Marshal is not the very first Louis L'Amour novel I read. The earliest one I remember reading was Flint. And this was in the 80s when I was in my 20s. Oh, that was a long time ago. Anyway, but this was the second one. I know this was the second novel I ever read of Louis L'Amour. And I always liked this novel. I like this novel more than I like Flint. This is the good one. I like this one. All the other ones are pretty good, but this is usually my top three. If I were to think about it, would be this one. I like Louis L'Amour. He does have there is a collection series of all his short stories, like this one. This one, volume 2. Let's see. Volume 1 is Frontier Stories. Volume 2 is the other Frontier Stories. I mean, I'm not sure how many books are in the collection. I think there's over 5. I think. So these are all his short stories. I mean, they are fun to read. I like it. I've always liked Louis L'Amour. Who doesn't like Louis L'Amour? Come on. I mean, he wrote so many interesting, even non-westerns he wrote. Okay, the Oxbow Incident. I might read this one for June on the Range. It's not too long. It's not too bad. It's the movie with Henry Fonda, Harry Morgan. I believe made in 1940s, I believe, or 50s. Or was with Henry Fonda, but excellent book, excellent movie, of course. It's one of frontier justice or revenge or mob justice, if you want. That's really what it was mob justice. But I might read this one. It says it's a good Western. I can't find my copy of Shane anywhere. I know it's in here somewhere, I think. Not very organized at the moment. I'm still in the middle of organizing, and I've been here for 4 years. The Virginian, another classic. Let's see. Well, anyway, I haven't read this book. I have never read The Virginian. I will probably eventually. I may even just start it in June, just to start it. Because at the moment, I'm still reading. I am reading this one now. I just started this one again. Payback at Morning Peak by Gene Hackman, which I think so far is pretty good. It's not great. It reminds me, if you remember the movie with Steve McQueen on Nevada Smith. I don't know why it does, but there just seems to be some faint aspects of that movie in this book. And I like Nevada Smith. It was a good movie with Steve McQueen. Let's see. But, excellent. Well, I've been told this is excellent. This is one of those few Western classics I've never read. I've heard about it and such, but I've never read it, so I may skim it. I may read it. I may start. There's no reason not to. Now, I've mentioned Dorothy M. Johnson numerous times. She wrote A Man Called Horace, which was with Richard Harris. Rex Harrison's the other guy. This is Richard Harris, who was Marcus Aurelius in The Gladiator, so that's who that was. And she wrote The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance with John Wayne, Jimmy Stewart, Lee Marvin. Excellent movie, great movie. But she's the one who wrote the original stories of those two. It's actually pretty good, actually. I mean, they're not very long. I mean, they are short little stories, but they're pretty good. I like them. I liked her writing. I like the stories anyway. I keep trying to find other stories, but she's very hard to find. But, if you want to read something very short for next June on the Range, this would work, because these are very short. There are 4 stories in here. Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, The Man Called Horace, The Hanging Tree, and Lost Sister. But anyway, I had The Searchers. I cannot find The Searchers either. That's the other one I was thinking of. The one that John Wayne did, and LeMay wrote it. At the moment, it's chaos in here, and I was trying to find it, and I never did find it. And it may not even actually be here, because because of all the books I lost over the years. But I remember The Searchers. I read that one. The Searchers is pretty good. Yes, I know the hat needs dusting. But I haven't worn this hat in a while. But I figure it's June on the range. I should wear my cowboy hat. As you can see, my cowboy hat's been around. I like westerns. I've always liked westerns. Westerns are kind of cool. I'm not sure. Outlaw Josie Wales. I'd like to find. I'll use thrift books for that. The Elmer Leonard complete western short stories. I gotta find. I'm going to order the Wild Hickok autobiography by Richard Matheson. I found it on thrift books. I'm just going to order it because I can't find it here. I did find it a few months ago, and I should have bought it, and I didn't. There was no June on the Range at that time, so I didn't even think about buying it. I should have, because it's a book. It's good. But I've ordered that book. I gotta order the Elmer Leonard short stories. Outlaw Josie Wales. I still gotta find. I'm gonna try to branch out some other authors I haven't read before. But anyway, westerns are fun. I like westerns, as I said. I'm trying to think of anything else off the top of my head. No. I'm sure it'll come to me, though. But anyway. Behave yourselves, people. I will see you in June on the Range. Hopefully I'll do a lot better than I did this month's YouTube whatever, because I got so busy I just couldn't do it anymore. I think I had to stop in the middle of the month to deal with all kinds of other stuff. But hopefully I'll do better this month. I'm in the June on the Range month. It should be fun. Westerns are fun. I like westerns. I mean, come on. Clint Eastwood, Steve McQueen, John Wayne, all kinds of cool westerns out there made. I mean, they were. Burt Lancaster. I mean, like Gunfight at the OK Corral. I mean, I have some books on the actual battle of the OK Corral. I think I have 2 of them, actually. I should have brought those 2. I had one over here, too. Probably the best movie I like about that was probably the Kurt Russell version. Even though I think the Kevin Costner version of Wyatt Earp is probably closer to the truth than the Kurt Russell version. And the best Doc Holliday, I know I'm off the topic, sort of. Well, it's still westerns. Would be either Val Kilmer or Dennis Quaid. I probably Val Kilmer. Probably, because Val Kilmer was in that movie. But anyway. Well, I can discuss all this stuff in next month when we do the June on the Range thing. So, well, you people behave yourselves, because I won't. Later.